me how crazy the last 3 months have been for you. How things have happened.
It's been amazing, from the way I was able to find out about going into the Hall of Fame, which the greatest thing for me is my family got to be a part of it, who's been an instrumental part in everything that I've done, to fast forwarding and how the games and the season has gone for this team. The roller coaster that's been, the loss of Jim, who means so much to me and to the university. Lost my job in between, got it back. But to be here kind of at the center of my life, I mean, this is what my life has been about ever since I can remember being a kid, coming to this arena with my grandpa and family and football games. It's the ultimate honor that I can receive and means so much to me.
Did they figure you're in the Hall of Fame, we might as well hire this guy back?
I think that's what pushed it. I think the Hall of Fame is the only reason I was able to get my job back. But no, I'm grateful to have it, and grateful to be able to talk sports every day and talk about a Bearcats team that's playing so well.
Tony, walk us through what that moment was like when John Cunningham called you, telling you were going to be in here, you were surrounded by your family. Walk us through what that moment was like for you.
Well, it was really bizarre because we had been doing Bengals training camp coverage live at Bengals camp, and Mo Egger couldn't make the show, but was like, hey, I booked John Cunningham to be on the show. And I'm thinking, well, here we're at Bengals training camp. Why am I talking to John? And then I'm thinking, okay, Des Ritter, there's some UC tie-ins. So I was so oblivious because like training camp, you're so busy with everything else. And I was so oblivious to everything else. And it didn't click for me. Being on the radio, John started to talk about, there's actually something I wanted to talk about. And I'm thinking, like, have I said anything bad on the air about, I think everything's been positive. So that's where my mind originally went. And then I saw my wife and family coming in, and very emotional for me, like I said, because I'm rooted in my family and I'm who I am because of my family. So it was amazing, and I'm so thankful for where it's led me.
Think about your time at UC. What's the first memory?
My grandpa. Like I said, I grew up in the time where you had to have football tickets if you wanted basketball season tickets, and we sat right underneath now where it's the Valentine Incline now, but I remember my grandpa had tickets in the first row at the top, right next to the student section, and I remember coming to games and just the atmospheres here with Bob Huggins, and when I was here, Mick Cronin, and then as a kid, we'd go to the football games, and at the time, no one was at the games. So my grandpa would say, hey, go where you want, meet back here in the fourth quarter, and we'll head home. So that's my earliest recollection of UC and sports at UC was my grandpa and coming to games with him. And from there, it just sprouted, and the ability to live here, to grow up here, to play high school sports here at a small school in Reading, and have the opportunity to not just play at UC, but be a part of the movement that changed the perception of this university. It was a really cool full circle moment.
Walk us through the emotions too. Obviously, Mike's here as well. Walk us through what it's like to go in there with a former teammate of yours.
It's great to see Mike. I kid with Mike all the time. I think Mike had 14 interceptions. I always kid him that he didn't have any during practices, but that's a lie. Mike was unbelievable. And Mike was so good because he let you know about what he was doing on the practice field, so he wasn't afraid to let you know when he was taking care of you that day. But the term gets thrown around a ton of iron sharpens iron, but it truly was. Going against guys like Mike Mickens every day made me so much better, because very rarely did I go into a game and play against somebody that was better than Mike. So games were easier for me because of guys like Mike. So to share this moment and this weekend with someone like that's amazing.
You took advantage of your time. Take me back to the Oklahoma game and Rutsago is down hurt. What's going through Tony Pike's head?
I think that season started, I was probably 7th or 8th on the depth chart at Camp Higher Ground, and worked my way up to number 2. And I remember getting the opportunity at Oklahoma, and I think I threw like a 7-yard stick route to Dominic Goodman, and I probably threw it 90 miles an hour, and it went right through Goody's hands because it was a terrible ball. And before I even got anything and my feet wet, I got to make a tackle, which as a quarterback is not what you want to do. So that's what I remember about Oklahoma is making a tackle. And then I remember the emotions after the game. My dad had driven out with friends, and for whatever reason had told his work that he was just sick. And I'm getting interviewed after the game, and there's my dad just standing in the background of all the local media that's covering the game. And so he's getting calls from work and wondering what it was going to be. But it was emotional. It was a roller coaster ride. And you get in there and you actually get to play a little bit, and then you get hurt a couple games later, which kind of started that up and down battle that I went through. But it was a crazy time and a crazy opportunity to get your first action at Oklahoma.
Pit game, you see Ben single coverage.
That's it.
And
It's over. Marty had such a great game, all-purpose wise, and I knew by putting trips to the field that he was going to get a lot of attention. And I thought they'd keep 2 high safeties back to maybe just keep everything in front. And when I saw the safety roll down and the other safety shielded towards the 3-by-1 side, it's a signal to Armand. And at that point, I knew Armand was going to win. My job was easy: put the ball up there, let him go up and get it, and he was able to do it. But jubilation. Shout out to Jeff Linkenbach, the left tackle, because their defensive end jumped off sides, and he was still able to get enough of the block that allowed the throw to happen. And like I said, my job was easy after that.
Obviously, speaking of the Pike to Ben's moment, outside of that, what are some of Tony Pike's favorite memories of his college career here at Cincinnati?
My first actual start got to be against Miami of Ohio, and that game always meant so much to Jim Kelly. And we grew up with Jim. We went on family vacations with Jim. So my first start in a game that meant so much to Jim was really cool. And at the time, Miami had recruited me a little bit in high school, but then just kind of disappeared. So I wanted that one a little bit more. The Pitt game my junior year here, and the fans rushing the field and then leaving the field and rushing the field again. Oranges being thrown onto the field after the Syracuse game. West Virginia, 08 on the road, because West Virginia had been so dominant in the Big East. And we went there and we blew a big lead. And they had an electric offense, and winning that game in overtime was kind of like the okay, we belong here moment. We went on the road at Oregon State, who had a really good team in 09, and that was kind of the moment of okay, we can have something special here. So all of those things combined and leading up to the Pitt game were awesome.
Was there a moment where you felt, all right, I can climb up this depth chart, I can really maybe take control of this position and create a name and lasting legacy for myself and UC?
For me, it was an opportunity. Because I credit Brian Kelly. He came to me very honestly at the start of the camp in 08, and he told me at the time that he didn't know if there was going to be a roster spot available coming out of camp because of how the roster was being built, and I had not shown much up to that point. And he said, but I am going to give you an opportunity. So you're going to have an opportunity to show what you can do, and you need to make the most of it. And so for me, I had a long conversation with my dad that night, emotional conversation. And it was, all right, let's go all in. And from there, you climb up to 5th and 4th and 3rd, and you break camp as the number 2. And the unfortunate injury to Dustin, you gotta capitalize. 2008, we did. It was next man in, whether it was Dustin or Zach Collaros or Chaz Anderson or Demetrius Jones. We all kind of took that mentality and made the most of every opportunity. And for me, that was it. Win each day, win each rep, and know that no matter what happened at the end, I was putting myself in an opportunity.
You heard from Brian since then, or I know he had some glowing remarks for you at halftime in the Pitt game.
Yeah, Pitt game. The halftime was not the greatest halftime speech I'd ever received. Essentially, you're going to apologize to the team after the game. We got to catch up when the 09 team was honored a couple years ago when Brian was able to come back, and then he was nice enough with my nephew Roman and everything that he's going through, my sister's baby with his illness. He was nice enough to sign and send an LSU ball for the benefit. And although we hadn't been in touch much, for him to be willing to do that meant a lot. So that's been my last communication.
Tony, walk us through what tomorrow is going to be like for you. Obviously, being on the radio with Jim, unfortunate passing. You're on the radio. Walk us through what tomorrow is going to be like for you.
As emotional as probably one has been, homecoming's always a special time because you get to catch up with so many people you haven't seen in a long time, and from the parade and catching up with so many former players, and then like having to bridge the gap of enjoying homecoming and then having to work homecoming again on a game homecoming that meant so much to a guy like Jim Kelly because he was Bearcat through and through. To be able to kind of encapsulate all that in a one weekend is awesome, and I couldn't be more grateful for it.